Hey, I'm Sam, and it's 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, and I'm by the waterfall again. And I wanted to say a few words as a continuation of the last video, really, and some other things that I think are important. I'm just going to show you this tree first. It's barely clinging on to the overhang. Oh, my voice has just woken up. It's barely clinging on to the overhang, and I don't know how old it is, but I've sat beneath that tree so many times just listening to the water. It's really calming. It's like white noise. So I have some things to say that came up after the last video. You know, I never really talk specifically about what happened to me, and you know, those early years that defined my life. But when I do sort of get closer to it, I feel such a mix of emotions after those videos. I always feel like I need to say more to explain. You know, that child denied, always feeling the need to explain himself, to make everything all right. And then there's shame and guilt. Should I be saying this? Am I allowed to say this? I don't want to upset anybody. You know, we deny ourselves, we deny our feelings as children, and we normalise everything. And then we live with an apology. And it's devastating. But I also feel something else. Like I want to offer some balance. I don't want people to think badly of my parents. As I age, gain insight, I feel more compassion for them, more love. Although I don't really know my father, I've only seen him a dozen times in 30 years really. I remember him as a being of fear and fascination. I was fascinated by him. He used to wear a fedora and a World War I greatcoat, and he strode everywhere very purposefully, whistling incoherently this maniacal tune, not tune actually, and I would be running to catch up with him and just puzzled by how closed in he was and how strange he was. He was troubled, and I could feel that. But I love him, I love that memory. That's more real to me than the man that went through a terrible breakdown, and the man who couldn't control his temper and his emotions and seemed so withdrawn and troubled. So I love him. And my mother, who has been on a 20-year journey with me to heal, and it's been difficult for both of us, but it seemed like that's the work we needed to do together, and we're still together now. Although we have separate lives, I'm very close to her. And forgiveness has taken a long time. But who do I blame? Who do I blame? What is the point in blame? You know, I forced forgiveness a few years ago, and because I thought it was the right thing to do. But the next time I found myself, screaming that consuming cry of anguish, fists clenched, to hitting that wall of grief, my premature forgiveness very quickly turned to blame. You did this to me. This is your fault. You did this to me. Look at my life. Drug abuse, eating disorders, self-harm, self-hate. And it's your fault. You did this to me. How easy it is to say that. How easy it is. But who do I blame? Do I blame my mother? Do I blame my father? Do I blame my father's father who abandoned him as a little boy to a harsh childhood? Do I blame my mother's father who came back from the Second World War a changed man? Do I blame their parents? All the people I have hurt in my life. Do I say, it's their fault, not mine? Of course I don't. So who do we blame? Blame is pointless. We can acknowledge what happened. This is just my personal process, remember. I know that some things are very, very difficult to forgive. But this is just me sharing my own process. So for me, blame just seems pointless. It's ancestral trauma. It's the brokenness of the world passed down through the generations. It's the fallenness. Blame depletes. Blame hands over authority to the past. People that don't exist anymore. My mother's 77. I don't know how old my father is. He's in his 80s. I know what they live with, I think. So what's the point in depleting myself with rage and anger and blame when now forgiveness feels effortless? Compassion, love. I feel sorry for what they went through. I feel sorry for what I went through. But isn't it our job to transmute all that suffering and pain into something useful? Maybe that's what this whole fucking place is for. Because what's the root of all the suffering is broken relationships, lack of trust, flawed relationship with truth, corrupt. So we come into the world wide open. We're exposed to adult, complex behaviours and emotions that we know don't make any sense as children. We can see it. Why are you doing that? What does that mean? I remember as a child watching my father and thinking, how can you not see that doesn't make sense? How can you not see the ABC of this situation? And you're disrupting that. And then, as young as like 6 or 7 years old, I remember being confused about what he was doing and clearly seeing a different way of doing it that would make more sense. So we're exposed to all these adult complex behaviours and emotions: blame, guilt, shame, contempt, denial, delusion. And there's us just confused. Normalise it. We have to normalise it, otherwise we're not going to survive. So we disrupt, we corrupt our relationship to reality, to intimacy, to truth. And thus it continues. So the path of healing is back to truth. But truth is terrifying. Every time I say it, I feel scared because I know that there are things that I still feel uncomfortable about, that I still find difficult to talk about, that I still don't want to fully admit, fully take responsibility for this selfishness I've lived in for my life and the hurt I've caused other people. So truth is terrifying. Truth destroys the world you used to live in, as a wise man I know named Neil Kramer says. Truth destroys the world you used to live in, because the world we live in is a world of illusion. It's the normalization, it's the safety. I want to live in here, a world where I'm a person that I want to be, and I live in a world that is manageable. A world of illusion. So truth destroys all that. It penetrates our illusions, and we feel pain, we feel suffering. So the way of healing is to seek a more intimate relationship with truth. So I think forgiveness is as necessary as breathing. We have to forgive. Otherwise we're never really fully here. We're attached to this ever increasing list of blame and shame. What's the point? You know, I find myself over the last few months repeatedly hitting that wall of grief and pain, and it got to the point where I just did not care anymore. I don't fucking care anymore what happened. I want to have a life now. So you have to just say, right, what do I need to do right now? What do I need to do right now to have a life? Doesn't matter anymore what happened. I'm the one that needs to change. I'm the one that needs to make those tiny victories each day that create meaningful material change in the quality of my life. That's what's important. And that's what I try and do. Small victories. Miracles. So one thing that really helped me as well, that really began a couple of years ago, was that I began to accept that I was enough. Can't be any other way. But when we're kids and we grow up in hostility, we question ourselves, we doubt ourselves. I must be wrong. Why is this happening? It must be my fault. Everything's centered on the wrongness of our being. So we change, we try and invent a person. And in the core of us, we think we're not enough. This doubt. Everybody that we meet, we doubt whether we are enough to be accepted. But we are enough. Of course we're enough. Just like every blade of grass, every tree is enough. It is as it is. But a couple of years ago, I began to really understand that the source of my being is perfect. The source of my being is love. And so the foundational relationship in this world of broken relationships is that relationship with God, the source of my being. And as I began to accept that relationship. I felt loved. I did feel loved, and I do feel loved. So it's not a faith or a belief, it's a knowing, because I see the evidence in my own life of how that relationship supports me, and it's real. And the more I seek the truth in myself, to penetrate my own illusions and to be here, to be present despite the suffering, the more support I feel in that relationship, the more love I feel in that relationship. And so we are loved, we are made in love. And I think we come here to this realm of being to learn separation, to learn selfishness, to learn pain. And hopefully, if we're paying attention in this classroom we call Earth, we arrive at the only real freedom, the only conclusion to our suffering, and that is forgiveness, it's love, it's compassion. Anything else will just keep you here longer. Anything else will just perpetuate the suffering and brokenness in your life and other people's lives. So reluctantly I came to this understanding because I wanted to protect myself. I had so much hate and so much rage. I wanted to protect myself, and I saw the world as a hostile, dangerous place, and maybe it is at times. And I wanted to protect myself. So I made money. I bought things that I needed. Life was transactional. The world was a resource. As were many relationships, not all, but many. But, you know, as the prison, the citadel of my self-protection, which became a prison, just fell apart around me. I had nothing else to offer apart from myself. And as soon as I started to do that, life began to change. And over the last few weeks even, my life has just changed in ways that are mysterious and magical and mystical and humbling and nourishing, and I'm participating as we are all supposed to. Somebody left a comment on my BitChute channel last night saying, what do I mean when I say the world wants us in it? And I struggle to write a concise answer, but I'll try and be concise now. So when I use the words world and universe, they're secondary. God is the source of everything, but the realm of our experience now is the world. And like I said, I think that the purpose of our time here is to move past our own fear and need to protect ourselves. And just as we were gifted this life, we were gifted a soul. The soul does not belong to us. It's from God. And it's given to us to see what we do with it. Do you fill it? That vessel of our being, do you fill it with love and truth and spiritual connection, or do you just deplete it and place your attention in the world of objects and forms and sensations and baser desires? What do you do with the gift of your life, the gift of your soul? That's what it's all about. So when I say the world wants us in it, this place is an opportunity to give, I think, and not as a strategy to give to receive, just to give. As our lives were gifted to us, we give them to others. It's the only solution. It's like the fundamental conclusion to all our suffering. And even that for me illustrates the reality of the description I'm sharing. There's no other path to freedom other than to give your life away, to give the gift of your life. It's not yours. It's given to you by God. And so the purpose of that gift is for us to share it, to be ourselves, to know that we're enough, to know that we're loved. And that heals all the brokenness of the relationships in the world. It heals all the brokenness of the trauma we experience. We're already a member of a family that transcends this realm of being, I think. Just that knowledge heals everything. And I think when we come to that realization, we do arrive at the understanding of eternal life. Because if we live our lives selfishly for our own, in that awful grasping need to assuage our fears and feed our basic desires, when we die, we die. Because we die with all our attachments. But when you rest peacefully, effortlessly, in the knowledge, in the truth, the foundation of your being is that relationship of love with the source of your being. There is no death. There is no death. There is nothing to fear. And so imagine what that brings into the world, into our relationships. There's no need to hate. There's no need to blame. We can acknowledge error. But, I think forgiveness is essential. I think this has been a bit of a rant. I didn't mean to rant, I'm just feeling passionate about what I'm talking about today. And I'm not even awake properly, so I just spoke from the heart. I hope all that made sense. I'll revisit this time and again and speak more clearly, I think. But life is just beginning. Life is just beginning. And I'm happy about that. I am happy. I'm feeling peace, contentment, and that I trust that things are going in the right direction now. I'll just show you the waterfall. It's a bit dark today. I shall conclude my thoughts with this. So, I'm a survivor. I am a survivor, and I survived a lot in my life. You know, the isolation and neglect of my childhood, the pain of injury, emotional and physical, years of drug abuse and self-hate. Horrific. Violence, the brutality of bulimia for years, self-harm. But as a survivor, you come up with strategies, and numbing my pain with drugs felt like a successful strategy. Losing myself in alcohol felt successful. Bulimia felt successful because I could eat and get the comfort from what that gave me, and then I could purge and pretend it didn't happen and still be perfect. So you come up with these strategies, and even making money and working really hard to accumulate material wealth to protect myself felt successful, but none of them are. They're all temporary, and they're all rooted in fear and unworthiness. So the acceptance of what I've been talking about doesn't feel like a strategy, like a cope. I'll tell myself this story to make everything all right, which is what I think a lot of people who aren't religious or spiritual think this all is. It's just a cope. But it isn't. It really isn't. It feels effortless. And my life feels more real now. My experience of every day feels more intimate now than ever before. So all those things I've just listed, those horrific things that helped me cope over the years, just perpetuated my suffering. Do I seem like I'm suffering now? No. Look at the colour of the bracken here. Soon the hillside will just be covered in burnt orange bracken. It's beautiful. So, okay, I think I said enough. I'm just rambling now. I don't think I'm even going to watch this because I probably won't want to publish it because I just feel like I've ranted for about half an hour. Listen. Listen. Okay. I'll see you soon. Bye.